Welcome to e-GMAT. My name is Stacey. I am one of the sentence correction experts here on the e-GMAT team, and I am going to be working through this question on waterlogged latex balls with you. So let's not waste any time chatting and let's get to work. We are going to work through this question using the e-GMAT three-step meaning-based approach. And what I love about this approach is it's like a litmus test of sorts that you can use for all SC sentences to get to the right answer choice. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Let me show you how it works. So we're going to go through step 1, the meaning analysis. Now what I love about this question is it's one of those questions that proves that just because we have a long, seemingly daunting, context-heavy sentence in front of us, we need not be apprehensive. If we use this sentence structure, read through the sentence in small chunks and assess what we are reading as we go, it is quite manageable. So let's get to it. While most of the earliest known ball courts in Mesoamerica date to 900 to 400 BC. So right away, I know that I've got some kind of contrast being presented here. I've got while. So while most of the earliest known ball courts. Okay, so these ball courts are in Mesoamerica, and they date to 900 to 400 BC. Makes sense. Then I'm told about these waterlogged latex balls, and these balls are found at El Manati. Okay, so now I know where these balls are found, at El Manati, and representations of ball players. Okay, so this and is like a plus sign here. So I've got the joining of these waterlogged latex balls and these representations of ball players painted on ceramic. So I'm told where these representation of ball players are. They are painted on ceramics found at San Lorenzo. Okay, so these representations painted on ceramics are found at San Lorenzo. Descriptive information about these representations. I keep reading to find out more. Attest to the fact. Okay, so these waterlogged latex balls and representations of ball players attest to the fact. So these two entities together, A and B here, are attesting to the fact that the Mesoamerican ball game was well established by the mid-13th century BC. All right, so that's where I get that contrast. While most thought that these date to 900 to 400, we find they actually were well established by the mid-13th century BC. All right, so my meaning is pretty straightforward here. It's a context-heavy sentence, and when you have something that's context-heavy like this, it's great to pull these key aspects out and make sure you understand everything that's going on. So the first thing we know is that these earliest known ball courts in Mesoamerica date to 900 and 400 BC. This is that first piece of the sentence that we saw right up here. That second piece of information we pulled out were these waterlogged latex balls and the representations of ball players serve as evidence of something. So that was the second piece that we pulled from the middle of our sentence right here. That third piece is that these balls were found at El Manati and the paintings were found at San Lorenzo. So that's all this information that we get here, that descriptive information. So that's that third piece. And then that fourth piece is that these artifacts show that this ball game was well established by the mid-13th century. So that's this final fourth piece, establishing that contrast before what we thought was when it was originally established versus what we actually know from this evidence. So that meaning is pretty straightforward. So we're going to move into step 2 now, which is that error analysis. Now, our meaning, when it's pretty straightforward, makes moving into the error analysis pretty easy because we don't have to infer any meaning. So we can start with our basic building blocks and use those grammar tools of what we know the foundations of the sentence to be. We can start with those subject-verb pairs, and we can say, okay, do they agree in number? Are they making sense? And we know here all the subject-verb pairs are agreeing in number and are logically and grammatically correct. I have them highlighted for you. The subjects are in blue, the verb is in green. Waterlogged latex balls, representations of ball players, attest, ball game was established. Now, no issue with verb tenses. And we do get some students ask a question here about this verb attest. And the big question that they ask is, can balls and representations attest? Does it make sense? And whenever your gut is telling you to doubt a word or questioning if something makes sense, I want you to stop and I want you to do a quick word check in your mental dictionary. Now here, the use of the plural verb attest actually means to provide or serve as clear evidence of something. So this is logically and grammatically correct in this sentence because basically the meaning here is that these balls and the paintings of these representations of ball players both serve as evidence or proof of the existence of these early games. So this is absolutely logical, makes complete sense. We do that quick word check, make sure all the vocabulary is checking out for us. Everything's logical here. So that verb is checking out. We have no pronouns errors, no modifier issues, no parallelism issues. That contrast presented by while was properly communicated as we discussed in the meaning analysis. So everything is looking to be error-free here. So we have to love it when our original sentence is working for us, but that doesn't mean we can just mark choice A and move on. We have to go through those other answer choices and make sure we reject those on solid ground. So let's start doing that. Let's take a look at choice B. Now here, the plural subject, waterlogged balls, and the painting of representations has the singular verb attests. So we have this subject-verb must agree in number error. So that's our first deterministic error. Now also take a look at the change of structure here. We no longer have representations of ball players. We have the painting of representations. So here, you can see this change of structure. And this change of structure is actually giving us a change in meaning here. The painting of representations does not communicate the same thing. Are we talking about a singular painting? Are we talking about the act of painting? This option is really confusing the intended meaning of the original sentence. So we're going to go ahead and reject option B for that subject-verb error and for that meaning change error. Let's take a look at choice C. Again, we have waterlogged latex balls and ceramics painted with representation. So again, structural change, but the meaning is still intact there, but we still have that singular verb attests. So we have that subject verb error we just discussed in choice B, so we can quickly reject choice C. Now let's take a look at choice D. Now, there's some debate over choice D. You'll notice the change first and foremost of now we have the finding as one of our subjects. So I want to talk about the structure here because there's a lot of questions about choice D and being able to eliminate choice D. So the first possible structure you see is the structure that I have where we have the two subjects, the finding and the painting, and then you have the singular verb attests. So that would give us a deterministic subject-verb agreement error, okay? In addition, we would have a meaning change here because here we have the finding of the balls attest. And it's not the finding that attests to anything. It's the balls and the actual painting of representations that attest. It's not the finding of these items that are the evidence. It's the items themselves. So using the finding as a subject here really distorts that meaning, okay? And again, we have the same issue with the painting here because as we discussed in the previous option B, we don't know if this is a singular painting, the act of painting. So the structure here with choice D is really messing the meaning up on whole new levels. Now, if you weren't even looking at the structure this way, and you broke the structure of choice D down this way, and you didn't see a subject-verb error, and you thought you had the singular, the finding, and the singular verb attests, I challenge you to look at this structure here because I'm not sure what we're doing with the painting here. Because it would be the finding and the painting. Now, if you were thinking somehow of waterlogged latex balls and the painting of representations somehow made a parallel list, I'm not quite sure how that works. But I also need to ask, how would it be logical to say the finding of waterlogged latex balls and the painting of representations found? what the finding found at San Lorenzo, that meaning is redundant and illogical. And so the first structure is actually making more sense. The finding and the painting being those two subjects with that subject-verb error. But either structure that you look at here, you have illogical meaning because it's not the finding that attests to anything. And the use of the finding found within that same construct is just completely illogical. So we can rule choice D out no matter what structure you're using. Now let's take a look at choice E. Choice E is quick to eliminate because, again, the finding is the subject, creates that meaning error, and here we have the singular subject, the finding, because you'll notice of representations is no longer a subject, it's a prepositional phrase. And we have the plural verb attest, so we again have a subject-verb error. So all of these are absolutely eliminated, and choice A is indeed our correct answer. As we originally thought, lots of subject-verb errors going on, some meaning changes happening, which are paramount to this. So this SC litmus test, the meaning-based approach, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Spend time with that original sentence to extract the meaning. Do those gut checks when you feel like something doesn't make sense. Any word that confuses you, take that beat and ask that question. This time the word attest worked in this sentence, but there will be times when your intuition will be correct. And check for errors in communication and or grammar, including structural changes that change or confuse the meaning. Just because the change in structure happened doesn't mean it's fixing our problems in the sentence. Please make sure you drop a like below, subscribe to our channel. We're working hard to make great content to help you along your e-GMAT journey. And helpful resources, check the links in the description. They're there to help you along your way. From all of us at e-GMAT, thank you so much and happy learning.